Here.
Everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we have approval of administrative employment agreement, interim superintendent agreement with Dr. Brad Hawk. This is an action item that the Board of Education approve the administrative employment agreement for interim superintendent for Dr. Brad Hawk as attached. Do I have a motion?
I'll move.
Second. Roll call, please.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Vicki Aaron in favor.
Yes.
Mary Hess.
Yes.
Gary Malak.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, I'd like to invite Dr. Hawk up
Thank you.
to the here.
Thank you. Yes. Nice to meet you too.
And with that, I'd just like to state that tomorrow, Dr. Hawk and I will be visiting the schools and introducing him to the staff. It'll just be a quick visit. If you'd like to introduce him and just walk him around the buildings. Also, at that time, he will be setting up appointments with each principal to meet at a longer time. So we'll be stopping by tomorrow and just to say hi to everybody.
Sounds wonderful.
And then with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to
Okay.
introduce yourself.
Very good. My name is Brad Hawk. I am joining you, and excited about joining you as your interim superintendent. I have previously been a superintendent in one of your neighboring school districts and have also served in a variety of administrative roles in a couple of other school districts. Since 2009, I have been assistant clinical professor at Northern. So I've had the privilege of having many Dekalb students, and most recently I had two in my principalship class. So outstanding people representing the community of the school district, outstanding. So with that, I would tell you I'm excited to be able to join and fill this role. I can see that the school district is an outstanding school district, and again, and feel privileged to be able to serve you.
One other, Dr. Hawk will be working 2 to 3 days a week in this school. Just to let you know. Next, we have public participation and recognition. Oh. Yes. Acceptance of gifts and donations. This is an action item that the Board of Education accept with gratitude the donation from Nestle Corporation of 2 full boxes of school supplies totaling approximately 100 items. In addition, Nestle Corporation adopted Clinton Rosette Middle School, and 14 volunteers from Nestle spent an afternoon at Clinton Rosette Middle School painting and improving the landscaping. Many students benefited from the extra supplies, and many staff and students are enjoying the beautiful improvements that were done at Clinton Rosette. Do I have a motion? Second. Roll call, please.
Vicki Aaron in favor.
Yes.
Mary Hess.
Yes.
Gary Malak.
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Howard Solomon.
Yes.
Fred Davis.
Yes.
Is there someone here from Nestle tonight, or no? Okay. Thank you. Tim, do you want to speak to anything at Rosette that was done, or?
No, it's great. We can't be more thankful for what they've done for us. We've had a strong partnership with them in the past, and we hope to continue that in the future.
Great, thank you. Okay, next we have public comment. Members of the public who wish to speak to the board should complete a request card prior to the meeting. This section of the meeting will be reserved for comments from the public. All comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Criticism of individuals is not in order. Okay, thank you. Next, we have board committee reports and correspondence.
Insurance committee meeting took place recently, but we're going to be discussing that later tonight, so.
I just would like to take a minute here to read some information I received from the IHSA regarding a football game that our students played in at Caneland 2 weeks ago. And one of the referees at the game sent this into the IHSA, and I just want to read it really quick. It says, I am writing to the IHSA so that the entire coaching staff and varsity football team can be recognized for a job well done. The coaches set the tone for the entire night. They were really respectful prior to the game, which carried over into the game. It was obvious to us that they led by example because the Dekalb football players followed suit. They had obvious respect for Caneland High School as there was so much positive communication between them. It was a great game to officiate. I do hope that the IHSA recognizes Dekalb for their sportsmanship. And they in fact did, so congratulations to the football team and thank you for representing us that way.
And parents.
And parents. And I also just wanted to take a minute to thank our staff here in the district for the last 2 weeks. I know it's been a difficult 2 weeks, but everybody has pulled together wonderfully. It's just very exciting to see what's going on. We haven't missed a beat here with the education that we've been providing to our students, and thank you to all the staff and the leadership team for all you do, because this is a great place to go to school. So thank you.
Before I like to comment on something too.
Sure, go ahead.
It's not really my school, but since my wife works over at Jefferson, they got a call from Lowe's. So if you get a weird phone call, right, Ms. Dawkins?
Oh, yeah.
And you're afraid to answer, you better, because you never know what could come out of that. But Lowe's come out to Jefferson and they donated a lot of cool things and a lot of time. So next time you should answer the phone. But until now, Jefferson will say thanks because they benefited from it. Nobody else returned the phone call.
Yeah, and that was a great article in the paper.
It was awesome.
Done.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any? Okay. Next, we have the possible approval of dismissal of Faith Schultz. That the Board of Education approve the resolution dismissing employee Faith Schultz for cause. Do I have a motion? So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Mary Hess,
Yes.
Karen Malott,
No.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Rick Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
No.
Fred Davis,
No.
Vicki Hernandez.
Yes. Next, we have the possible expulsion of student 100416. That the Board of Education approve the expulsion of student 100416 as identified in the student's file kept in the superintendent's office for the remainder of the 2016-2017 school year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Sorry. Roll call.
Karen Malott,
Yes.
Victoria Newport,
Yes.
Rick Smith,
Yes.
Howard Solomon,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Vicki Hernandez,
Yes.
Mary Hess.
Yes.
Next, we have presentations, dashboard update, food services and facilities, and this is Andrea Gorliss, Cindy Carpenter, Karen Warren, and Tammy Carson. This is an informational.
Good evening. First, I would like to thank all of our cooks and our custodial staff for making all of this work for us. Over a year ago, we came to the board and under the direction of the board to look for some cost-saving opportunities, we examined various departments throughout the district. And the 2 departments then that came forward, we had a restructuring plan. And that's what we're in front of you this evening to demonstrate to you the final result of the full year of this. But know that it's been ongoing evaluations. We always circle back to the custodial staff and the head custodians to get ideas of what's working, what's not working. and to troubleshoot through some of that, as well as our cooks. So again, as well as these folks up here, we truly have gratitude for everything that they've done. But the people actually working out there that were able to deploy the plan that was set up with some minor tweaks and assessments, like I said. But at the end of the day, I think you'll be happy with the results of all of this. So again, as we start this, all of us have goals from the board, and then how we actually make all of this come to fruition is a lot of work behind the scenes, as we've said. And each department takes all these initiatives, and we work through our roles and plans on how to make some of these things happen. So here is a timeline, and I'll let you guys walk through it. But from when all of this started to the events throughout the year of what has been done periodically throughout this plan.
We first came to the board and we actually started investigating this back all the way in February 2015 was the first time Andrea brought this to me as a consideration. And with that, then we did some legwork to look into the options that were out there. We researched with other districts, then made some decisions on how this could take place, and met with our facilities and our food service staff to present that restructuring plan in July of 15. We came to the board shortly after that meeting and for approval, and it became official in August. We kicked off the school year under the new modified cleaning schedule with presenting it to staff members so everyone understood the procedures involved as well as the changes that were happening. In October of 15, we came back with the modified cleaning schedule update report to the board. We did, after some monitoring, have to make some adjustments. And then in November, it just continued with monitoring, and we met again to make some further adjustments in December, as we knew we would make some tweaks. And we also came back at that time from the facilities department with a proposal for 2 additional part-time custodians after we evaluated that the need was there at our Huntley Middle School and Dekalb High School, the 2 largest buildings. In March, we came back again with an update with more specific dashboard results and financial information, as well as at that time we sent out a survey to our staff, which we were able to bring those results back to the board to give an update. That time we told you we'd be coming back this time of year and give you a full year update, and so that's why we're here today.
Food service. I thought I'd start your evening off with some little show and tell, so I'm going to pass this around as I am talking about these things, so then everybody has the opportunity to kind of see what's going on. So actually, when it comes to food service, we're right on target with all our initiatives right here, 1 through 10. And something that we're right on target with is all our training for our cooks and our head cooks when it comes to meeting the professional standards. That is a requirement of a year ago today, actually. So I want to let you know we're really on target with all this training that you see up here on food service. I'm going to get to these job aids, so I want to give everybody an opportunity to kind of see what's going on. Down the road on this presentation, you'll see I start talking about job aids, and that's what we have right here. It's a group of laminated cheat sheets for everybody out there in the school. So if they ever come up with a question that they can't answer, they can grab this, go, and get the answer that they need. It's made for every employee, whether it be a cook or a server or a cashier. So that's what you see. We've had these in the works for about 2 years now, I think. And as the summer progresses and things that I want to add, I add to it every year. So that's what you have that's going around right here in the big ring, and that is at every location. More of them, but there's quite a few at the bigger locations of the production sites. So that's what you're going to see. What you're also going to see is something that was initiated both at the middle schools, the high schools, and actually Little John. Thank you, Billy. And I'm going to talk a little bit about his group, how we met with his group, and talk about how the children wanted to improve the lunch program. So Billy was pivotal in initiating this, and his kids were unbelievable when I show you what they produced for us. And so you will see what we're doing out there in the field. This is at only one elementary school, Billy's school right now, but the middle schools and high schools. It's called a flavor station. We initiated this because of what came up through all our student involvement groups. And how they felt the food needed flavor. And it does. The reason it does is because USDA is really, as we have talked about, taking out all the flavor of our food. So we initiated flavor stations, and kids went to a syrup. with this. Basically what we have, just so you can see this out there, is Italian seasoning, crushed red pepper, Cajun seasoning, lemon pepper, cayenne pepper, and the hot sauce. That is the hottest thing out there. Kids put hot sauce on everything. So as we're talking about our meetings with the kids, I'm also gonna send around a student group from, again, Little John. This group of youngsters put together a PowerPoint to present to us, a PowerPoint. And they presented it in the best fashion I've ever seen. It was like seeing adults present this. So I'm passing around the PowerPoint. And also what we did and what came out of that meeting, as you will see going around, our special lunch menu that we created for Little John only, because they wanted to see a change. So we initiated a change for that group. And we piloted it, and I wanted just to kind of filter that all the way around so you'll see what we've done. And what you have up there is just a sample of that job aid that's going around. And I just focused on not the most important things, the important things that can hurt people out there if we're not doing our job when it comes to date marking and hygiene for employees. So those are just a few samples you will see. Something that's also going around is the cashier procedures. So I started a job aid for our cashiers. That's not fully developed yet, but it's one item so far. So you have a job aid going around for all our servers, our cooks, and our cashiers, and then also groups as a whole.
I do have to add one thing, because it was quite impressive to hear from the students. I mean, not only did they put a PowerPoint together, they surveyed the students and came back to us with the results of likes and dislikes, and they even photographed the meals so that we could see what they're looking at.
Yes.
Yes, I have eaten it. We go around and we do taste the food, and it is bland. And again, that's not because we want it to be that way. That is because of the program, part of the federal program on what the requirements and the restraints are with that. So adding this flavor station was a great idea to just amp up the flavor a little bit for the students and let them be somewhat in control over what types of seasonings they can put on the food and still stay within those requirements. And later on in the presentation, we'll show you the end result of what our food service program brought to us dollar-wise, which you can see demonstrates that success as well.
Just to show what some of the facility things that we've done, and I'll send around and remind you. What this is it's just an example of what has been put together and tweaked in the past year as a reference tool for our custodial staff. This is a cleaning schedule that's posted throughout our buildings to show what nights are A nights, what nights are B nights, and which classrooms and rooms are included in A nights and B nights. So if there is a sub or teacher that forgets if their room is tonight or tomorrow night being cleaned, they can have an easy reference source. The next, it doesn't show like I was hoping, but it will in the book. These are all color-coded so that the areas are color-coded by the custodian. This is custodian A at Portland, and it shows that what areas they clean on which nights, first floor, second floor, and then there are things that are cleaned every night. And as well as, besides the picture reference, they have this document which outlines their start times, their break times, as well as, again, the areas they clean on A night, B night, what that cleaning includes, and when it's an every night cleaning. So they have a reference. This is posted in their custodial closets, on their carts, and the binder is also available in the head custodian or lead custodian's office. So this is our tool also as we manage these staff to know should we expect an area to be cleaned or not when we're coming around without having to necessarily ask a staff member. We have a reference as supervisors to know what condition we should see that room on any given night. Other expectations, obviously we're always looking to provide a safe, clean, and sanitary environment in our district. That is conducive to learning. We also must adhere to ROE, OSHA, and fire safety requirements. Professionalism, that level we've been working on for a number of years and have elevated the level of professionalism expected from our staff. Staff trainings and developments, as in all departments, we're in ongoing training. A lot of it happens in our summer months when we have the availability to bring everybody in, as well as one-on-one trainings happen as needed by our supervisory staff on the spotter and new staff. Inspections we do continually, and then just a little tidbit of information. One question that was brought to light last year when we rolled this out was, how many times are going to be asked for additional cleanings? If there's a class that has a number of sick children or other reasons, something that caused the classroom to get excessively dirty in a given night. Last year, we had a total of only 29 requests district-wide, and those were because of illness, special events, or possibly just a miscommunication with a sub or a staff member in regards to what room should have been cleaned. And 16 of those 29 were approved, which means we just added another room or a couple of rooms that night that may have not originally been on the schedule. So based on the number of classrooms we have in the district, only having to do 16 additional to me is a pretty low number compared to what we could have done this rollout. So to me, that's a good determination that this rolled out well.
Our opportunities for improvement really have stayed consistent. We're always seeking improvement, how we can do things better and how we can get our participation up. That is a prime goal. Something that we're looking at, and there's a level of enhancement, I guess you want to call it, because we're always looking at how to utilize and best present our food. And something that we're always challenged by is our food that goes out to our elementary schools, other and with the exception of Portland. Portland has their own kitchen we cook on site. That's the ideal, the best possible situation anybody could ever get. But the other schools, we have to cook on site at both Rosette and Huntley are our two production sites, and then ship the food out from that point. One of the challenges that we have here is we have to cook, we start cooking about 8 a.m., okay, and by the time we cook it, hold it, ship it, and by the time that last student may get lunch, we're talking 1 o'clock. So we're holding, cooking, prepping for almost 4 to 5 hours. So that's always a challenge. And that was one of the things too that came up in Billy's group is, sometimes when they get tater tots, they're all lumped together. They're going to be lumped together, unfortunately, because we're cooking so long. So that's something that always is on top of our list is how do we do it better with what we got to work with. So we are looking at different opportunities out there. We are in the 5th year of a contract with our food service management company. And by USDA Illinois regulations, every 5 years it must go out to bid. So we are in a bid year as we speak. So we're tossing around different ideas of what we can do and how we can get creative in the bid process. I think that's basically what I'm going to do food service.
For facilities, the areas we're going to look at improving, we will be doing the surveying of staff once again. We're looking to do that in November and March, so that those surveys results will be provided to you once those are complete. We are constantly inspecting and evaluating the areas and making changes as needed. And then if there's anything significant that would need to be changed for any reason, we would obviously be coming back to you with those recommendations.
Something we're looking at for food service is not only is there a level 1 and a level 2 priority. I'm just going to talk about level 1 where we talk about our quality of meals. Again, what I just mentioned is our quality at the elementary schools. So again, we are looking at how do we approach these challenges all the time and what can we do differently. So that's something we are tossing around as a group is how do we proceed into a bid year and come up with some creative ideas to improve the quality of our schools meals at the elementary school. Level 2 priority, it's really stayed the same. There's not much that changed on there. We did meet with in the middle, under level 2 priorities. You'll see we met with the Little John students and the web leaders. And these are my notes, and I'd be glad to pass them around of what they came up with. Again, as Andrew mentioned, they presented a PowerPoint. They all took turns presenting to us in the most professional manner. They brought up their concerns. And we took notes, we came up with ideas, and that's how we came to the process of, okay, you know what, let's pilot Little John, and let's try out some special menus for this group only. They did survey the kids, and they had the best return rate of survey I've ever heard of in the 70th percentile. I was like, wow. And so that's what we did, is we changed the menu, and we followed up after the menu changes. Unfortunately, it wasn't the response we liked. But those were there's 2 pages that went through. I think maybe we might have been a little bit too sophisticated for that level, but they really like the idea of freshly made food because they don't think it's freshly made when you ship it. Their idea of freshly made food is right there. They want to see it made just like the high school, just like the middle school. But it was a great learning experience. We're going to follow up again with Billy's group this year. In fact, one of the young ladies that was at Little John grabbed me. I didn't have a chance to tell you. Grabbed me in the hallway. She goes, "Do you remember me?" I said, "I think so." And she goes, "I was at Little John." I said, "Well, then I expect to see you in our next group with Huntley." So she's already setting the path for how she's going to improve lunches at Huntley. Oh, we did add a level 3. And the level 3... Where did it go? Oh, okay. It's just a little bit skewed there. Level 3, I added in the priority. And that level 3, what I decided to include in there is making sure that we always have continuous improvement with the infant student groups. Right now, we meet with student groups. We meet with the middle school kids, the high school kids, and the elementary kids. So we're gonna stay on task with that. And again, I mentioned we met with the Little John web leaders, brilliant group of little ones. And again, we talked about they issued a survey. Again, almost 71% response rate. And one of their concerns was not enough time to eat. So actually that was addressed over the summer. And our lunches were changed. And back at Little John, really wound up adding a lunch. And a lot of the schools did adjust their lunch times to accommodate the time frame that we have. Because it's a short amount of time. And so again, with that, we initiated the action plan along with the flavor stations. And that's where we're continuing on the level 3 priority. And that's what I added as a focus.
For facility operations, we went into last year with 3 different levels. Level 1 was for just a basic cleanliness and performance review. For 2015, our goal was to do 240 of those. We were able to complete 313, so we exceeded our goal with that. And then there's the level 2. That's more of a full building inspection where we're not only looking at performance and cleanliness, but we're looking at ROE violations, safety violations, fire code violations. We did plan to do 54. We fell a little bit short and only accomplished 49 last year, so we'll be looking to improve on that this year. And then we also had a goal last year called check-ins. With it being something new, I really wanted to make sure that myself and the other supervisors were out and about enough to be able to touch base with principals, office staff, teachers, and head custodians regularly to say, how's it going? Kind of a, I'd say it's kind of like a how do you do call. How are things going? What do you think? And give them a chance to face-to-face discussion. That goal we blew out of the water. We had a goal of 240 and we did 880. That's just gotten to be their regular routine, being out and touching base with these staff members. So I've actually eliminated that goal for this coming year and focusing more on full building inspections and then level 1s and level 2s so that we're not wasting time recording check-ins when it's something that's just become part of their regular day. ROE inspections, we've already completed 2016-17. Thank you to the ROE for the year. That was in August and September, so those results should be coming out in the next 30 to 45 days, and we'll be bringing those to the board for review. And then the 10-year life health safety inspections happened last year, and we will be on the docket to do Portland and the high school's life safety 10-year life health safety inspections in 2019. We'll do both of those at the same time when Portland hits their 10-year mark.
Okay, food service. I am now going to pass around my notes from Little John so you can see what their specific concerns were as they brought forth to us. But here are our financial our savings proposals. Actually, the July of 2016 should be July of 2015. I noticed that tonight. So what we proposed in July of 15 was the savings of $27,305. Then we revised in March of 16, and our proposed savings was $39,942. In actuality, our savings of June of 2016 was $41,996.
And to demonstrate again just the overall performance of food service, we have all the detail as far as the revenues and the expenditures in front of you. And then if you don't like looking at all the minutiae of the numbers, of course, we've charted it. So you can take a look at how we performed from year to year. So our most current close of the year is the 2015-16 year. And again, these are preliminary numbers, unaudited, but probably as close as we're going to get. And at the end of the day, our food service area netted us $179,000 to flip, which was excellent. Now, I will say as well, a few things happened, of course. The restructuring with the deliberate attempt to do exactly what you're seeing, garner us some further cost savings to see a higher rate of return. And additionally, I hope you do recall, we also initiated the push coin system at our schools, which is the scanning of the students when they come through the lunch line. So instead of them putting a pin in, they are scanned. It's a thumb scan, and that's how we process it. So Not, again, can I say 100% that I know that a lot of this is attributed to that as well. But I will say probably because of the way in which we process, that's a more accurate accounting of the students coming through the line. Therefore, again, we get reimbursement from the state and the Fed based on those numbers. So I think that's part and parcel to what we're seeing the results of this as well. Now, one thing I will remind you again is Carol stated this is our 5th year with Chartwells, which means we go out to bid this year. And when you go out to bid, that contract can only increase by a dollar amount of which we state in there. We have 2 choices to make with food service, 2 different CPIs you get to choose from. And again, not saying that we're any great economists in any of this, but the CPI that we chose fared well for us, which means that contract could only grow by the same CPI of which our tax levy could grow by. So it was minimal. For 5 years, we saw a minimal increase of what they could actually increase our contract by. So controlling all those other costs and trying to get that participation up ends up resulting us in the situation that we're in. So all in all, this fared very well for us.
For facilities, when we came in, again, that should also say July of 2015, when we first presented this, we had projected a savings of $266,000. But based on some changes that we came back, where we hired traditional staff, part-time staff members, and we increased 5-hour staff in our original proposal to 6-hour staff, which then benefits apply as a full-time status. We did revise our savings to be just shy of $200,000 is what we're projecting after those changes. And coming into the actual savings, as of the end of the fiscal year, we actually had $240,000 in actual savings that we were able to render. If you notice to the right, the breakdown, because ours does have a few other variables to it than food service. In our union salaries, we saved $154,151. Summer salary, I do want to explain briefly. If you remember, I came to the board February or March and proposed summer staffing, said we would spend up to $62,000. But then Andrea and I talked at length, and we had a goal internally of cutting that by $10,000 and seeing where we would end the summer. And we were able to do that. We saved $10,252 compared to the projected $62,000 that I brought to you earlier this year. And chemicals and equipment, regarding custodial chemicals, custodial equipments and repairs, we had projected to save $50,000 because of the change in the schedule of using of equipment and chemicals. We were able to render $76,000 this year. So that's where the $240,000 plus comes in as our total savings for the year. Oh, snow and salt. This is just a recap. This is a repeat slide just to show that our savings last year was, I don't have the number up there, I believe it was approximately $50,000 savings over previous year in our snow and salt. Thanks a lot to Mother Nature. Can't say that can happen every year, but hopefully also involved by managing of our overtime costs so that we can reduce our overtime costs. We saw significant savings there too.
And then finally, just as a reminder again, as we presented this restructuring plan, it was an idea. It was something that, searching through my fellow colleagues through ASPO actually, is how this idea came about. And so when we talked about it, again, you talk about a plan and then you place it on paper, all looks well, but then when you actually deploy the plan, you need these continuous check-in processes. And that is indeed what we did, and we had to come back to you a couple times to make modifications to it. But again, so this is our circle of the process of which we have put in place. So we do the planning, then we actually take the action on it. We study and analyze the data that came back, and that was feedback also from our teaching staff on the classrooms and students and all the such, and food service, as well as our cooks. And then we reacted to those. So just again to reassure you that when we put that plan in place, it's not that we thought we had the perfect idea and all was going to go well. We do listen to the feedback and make those adjustments as we see. And as others tell us that we need to modify. And I do also want to thank all of the folks out at the schools, because it took and continues to take all of us to participate in this to make it work. And that means we take our garbage cans and place them outside the doors so the custodians can walk through and pick things up and just make that process move faster. So if you want your garbage emptied on a daily basis, all you have to do is put a can out there. Or with students, you can ask a student to place the can out there, and it gets done. But again, I do want to thank everybody for their cooperation. Any further questions?
Outstanding.
Thank you.
I got a question, don't run away. The, Carol, the ring thingy that you handed out, the cheat
Job
sheets.
aids, yes.
Yeah, so I presume everybody knows what they need to know, and they fall back on those as a member of
Yes.
health.
Good question. That is, it's a fallback. When it comes to all the food safety tasks and rules and regulations they need to follow, every employee now has to be, every employee, servers and cashiers, a new rule passed about a year ago, and it went into effect in July. Every server and every cashier must be certified, and it's called a food handler certificate now, which is a basic food service 101 in a short 1-hour online class. But when it comes to our cooks and such, they all have to be certified in and licensed in a manager certification program. So yeah, that is fallback. That's not teaching.
Okay, so
That's my
they know
fallback.
that well enough that they don't have to be learning on the job.
No.
I mean, they forgot some particular.
Right,
point,
it's a
then
quick
they look
grab
it
and
up.
go reference,
Yeah.
you know, here's a good example. You know, when it comes to scoops and ladles, we have to have the right scoop out according to what our production record may say. So if they're stumped one day and they would say, oh, do I use a number, you know, a 4-ounce scoop or a 6-ounce scoop? They can reference it really quick instead of making a phone call. A lot of times there's not time for a phone call. They just may, oh my gosh, I need to know something quick.
Yeah, but they
It's
know
a
what
grab
to
and
look
go
for.
reference,
Just
yeah.
when I looked at it, I said, there's a lot here.
Mhm.
But that, they've got that, they can just,
Right.
they know where to look and where to refer back to.
And even though with new people, they might not know the whole, you know, daily routine, or they might not know it all per se, but it's also a quick reference.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. Great update.
Thanks for saving that money.
Yes, we have business and finance, summer project update, and this is an informational item.
As I do every year, I like to come back and give you all an update on how our summer projects went, especially our larger ones. I do have a few pictures we can look at. I didn't do all of them because looking at a finished roof is not as exciting as looking at some other things in our district. But just to update and remind you, we did have several bid projects that were completed this summer. The majority of them were funded by TIF funding from the City of Dekalb TIF project. Those included the front parking lot at Clinton Rosette Middle School that was added to allow for visitor parking and to alleviate some of the traffic burdens on First Street. I believe it came out exceptionally well. It looks like it has always been there. It didn't look like it was added in, which is always a feat to overcome in regards to adding the size of the lot. The back we did add to do some improvements because now, I'm sorry, going back to Rosette. The Clinton Rosette back parking lot, we did some improvements so that we could handle student pickup in the back at the end of the school day, because concerns were shared by the city as well as our staff on how our parents were backing up traffic on First Street and the safety issues with our students. Some of the parents weren't always waiting in line. Instead, they would wait across the street and allow their child to run across First Street instead of wait. This allows for 2 lanes of traffic as well as additional parking, and we were able to roll that out in the first day of school, so pickup happens in the back and buses are in the front at the end of the day. We also added another sidewalk in there so that kids weren't traipsing through the grass all the time to get to that parent pickup. Founders parking lot, those improvements, we had some terrible disrepair in the back of Founders for many years that we had just patched. And we were able to grind this down 2 to 3 inches and then lay fresh asphalt to hopefully alleviate some of the issues back there. And then it was more or less painted the same way that we needed for student safety. Next, this was not a TIF project, the boiler and replacement at Malta. We did opt to replace the boiler and add a chiller at Malta Elementary. That was partially with life safety money and partially with operations and maintenance money. And that was completed, so now that Malta has air conditioning. And they also, with this, received new univents. So this is a picture of the univents that adds additional shelving in each classroom, which is something actually Malta was lacking with shelving. So these univents provide that, just like in our previous projects at Little John and Jefferson when we expanded those chillers. Founders, part of the TIF. We were able to add air conditioning to Founders Elementary. That was a picture of the chiller that was added. Fortunately, that system was already a 2-pipe boiler system, so we just needed to add the chiller and then some other units to be able to accommodate the majority of the school with air conditioning. What's not pictured were roof replacements. We finished off all the roof replacements that needed to be done at Clinton Rosette and Founders as part of the TIF project. So those buildings will not be up for roof replacements for many years now. We're in good shape on those buildings. In regards to the financials as it relates to these projects, there was a reference in your packet that we did come in under budget on all of those projects, all 6 of those bid projects. We came in just shy of $80,000 under budget. Because contingency monies were not used across the board on every one of those projects, and so when you added those together. These aren't 100% final. I'm still getting final architect bills and that, but these are the projections, and I anticipate they're awfully close, and we'll see a savings of approximately $80,000 compared to our projection. In regards to TIF funding, what that will mean for us is we have just over $200,000 available in the TIF funding project. If you recall, there was $2 million that was approved. So we have $200,000 approximately left out of that project, so that we can identify additional projects for the next year. We have through next summer to continue to utilize that $2 million. So I'll be coming forward in the future in regards to what those project recommendations will be to the board. But on the second page of your packet, there is some possible projects we are considering and looking into further. For TIF, one of the things we talked about previously was considering replacing the rubber gym floor at Founders Elementary. It's not in good shape. It's been patched many times, and it is not the appropriate flooring for the cafeteria, because that is where their lunch tables, and to drop and fold lunch tables on a softer floor is very challenging. That is a cost of about $130,000, but unfortunately, some other things came up that we knew we were looking into in regards to the tower at Founders. Sorry, I just took these tonight, so they're a little dark. But this is what the tower is when I reference the tower. This is a structure which is truly cosmetic. This end of it, where the windows are, when you walk in the doors and you look up, it's just an open ceiling and windows. And then as you click through to the inside pictures, and again, difficult to see, but there are stair-step cracks around the windows as well as up the corners. Structural engineer did look at that just yesterday and have deemed the area unsafe, and so we've closed it. We continue through the pictures. Yes, we'll see. We've built walls to keep students and staff out of that area until we can render it safe again. What is probably going to what is going to happen is we will be meeting with contractors to determine the cost. The structural engineer anticipates the entire structure will have to be taken down to the first floor roof level and then either rebuilt or capped off at that level instead of building it just to be cosmetic again. We also lose a lot of heating and air conditioning up into that tall ceiling that really serves no purpose. It was more of a cosmetic design element back in the day when it was built in, I believe it was around 1998 when this addition was done. So that being said, I don't have the actual numbers. We would have to talk to the city because this was not in our original TIF agreement. But we will be looking at options, whether it's TIF funding or life safety or O&M in regards to how to move forward to get this prepared as quickly as possible so that we can reopen this, because this is a space that is a regular throwaway for our students that go back and forth to the lunchroom. So we've had to, on the spot, work with the administrators at Founders to immediately redirect the remaining 2 lunches that were underway when we found this out and redirected them through the other gymnasium, down the ramp, and into the lunchroom. So that entire area is closed until further notice. We'll have more information in the future. Most likely, the lighting upgrades that I had hoped before the structural engineer came in may not be something we consider with the TIP project, but there are some rebates that are now currently available through Element Energy now that I would love to consider, but we'll have to wait and see on that. More information to come. Clinton Rosette, also like to look at that through TIP funding and possibly some upgrades to some humidity controls and equipment that are needed for the rooms that are at grade and below grade level that we're struggling with some humidity controls that we had at the end of the summer this year. So again, that's some things that we're looking at, as well as some random lighting upgrades throughout the district, taking advantage of some of that grant rebate money that could be out there. We'll be bringing that. And then the big item is we are researching the Lincoln boiler replacement and chiller installation. As we all know, Lincoln is the only building in the district that doesn't have air conditioning in the majority of the classrooms. And so we are looking at that, but funding is going to have to come up for discussion. We can use life safety for a portion, but life safety will not cover the entire project. The project's estimated to be about $1 million. It'll be similar to what we had to do, what we did at Jefferson when we replaced that boiler and chiller. And then last but not least, safety and security budget. That's also in my world. What we're looking at is voice over IP phones. That's for Little John. But Little John is the only building left in the district that doesn't have the voice over IP phones. We'd like to pursue that with the safety budget. We talked to the safety task force a week ago, in regards to that. So we'll be getting some numbers together on what that looks like, and we pay for that through safety and security. As well as we are talking to the Park District about a possible need for a fence at Brooks to create a barrier between Bethany Road and the schoolyard on the Park District property. Again, that's just now in the books, so that 15 is a real rough estimate because I haven't met with the fencing company for the Park District at this point. It's just been 3 years. So that's where I'm at, ending the summer and already looking forward to next year.
Not a question. I just want to say how pleased I am with Clinton Rosette and the parking situation. I've been on committees, I've sat in board meetings for, doggone, it seems like almost 10 years. I know it's not quite that long, but anyway, that's been a really big problem. Every one of us is always worried about what happens over there when those cars get out there on the first. Kids are crossing 2 or 3 different locations to get to school. So I'm really happy to see that solution, and it looks like a really nicely done and well laid out plan. So that's, boy, when things go like that, it's wonderful. So thank you, Tammy, and all the engineers and
the administrators that have helped redesign
everyone
it.
that's been involved in that project. It's been a long haul, but it's done.
And I will say the administration at Clinton Rosette has been great about designing how that parent drop-off and pickup can look, and then testing it out. Those first few days of school can always be challenging regardless of what school we're at, and it seemed like it rolled out really well at Clinton Rosette. I should also mention one other thing as I was looking at my notes. In regards to this tower repair, I am working with the ROE in regards to getting an emergency amendment approved so we can move forward with this project quickly and we don't have to go through the long process that typical large construction projects can take. I'll have more information, but I would need your nod to bring this back to the next meeting in regards to talk about it, at the next meeting and bring some more hard numbers in regards to the tower repairs.
I have a consensus on the request that Tammy's making.
Yes.
Yeah, and also we talked about more, but you're gonna have the engineers, whoever's in charge of determining the safety aspect, take a look at the outside crowd, make sure that we have barricades if needed.
Absolutely. This is such a high traffic area with student drop off, pickup, as well as playground, back and forth to the playground. We will have to have those properly barricaded and marked from an OSHA standpoint, without a doubt.
Thank you, Tammy. Next, we have request to bid backup snow removal services, and this is an informational item. And again, Tammy.
Last one, I promise, and sit down. Every year I come to you with a request to either renew a contract or go out to bid just for backup snow removal. Just to refresh, we do handle all snow removal and salting for the district by our district maintenance and ground staff. It is not anything that is contracted out regularly. It has been that way since 2011. Yes, since 2011. We have been handling it in-house, but we have had backup contracts every year except last year. We went out to bid last year and received no bids. So we opted to give it a shot, see if we ran into any problems. I do have contacts in the community that I think if we got in a bind, I could pull some help in if needed. We didn't need it. Obviously, we saved a lot of money. Going into this year, I would like to secure a backup contract. That person would strictly be used from an hourly, that company would be used for an hourly basis as an emergency, whether it's hauling piles of snow away or clearing our schools or salting our schools because our staff, because of time restrictions, can't keep up.
We have a consensus on that.
Thank you.
Next, we have insurance modification and information review from last year, and this is an informational item. Thank you.
So the insurance committee met, and we have another meeting scheduled this Thursday to determine what those final numbers will look like and to take a look at any modifications if we so choose to mitigate whatever premium increase is going to be presented to us. I will tell you preliminarily, they told us we are looking at a 10.5% increase to our insurance costs. But what I did want to remind you, and Mary had asked for this information as well, is last year there were quite a lot of changes made already. And at that point in time, I think we had started with a 7%, 5 or 7% increase, and then whittled that down to about 1% at the end, or a little 1.6, I believe it was. But just so that you're all aware of, last year when that came to our attention, so this has been what we have been living with for this year, there were modifications made to the plan, and we actually have a PPO plan, a high option and a low option, and the high option, or the low option, is a higher premium with lower deductible. And then we have a high option that's a lower cost with different deductibles as well, so people can at least choose within that framework. We also have two different types of HMO plans. HMO Illinois that has higher premiums with a broader network, and then the Blue Advantage, which is a lower premium that has a smaller network. So people could kind of pick and choose somewhat within those ranges of insurance plans. But again, as we all are experiencing our challenges with health insurance just in general. What I did want to point out to you, though, as I stated, last year deductibles were changed, and they went up from anywhere to $250 to up to $1,000. And that actually, in all that detail behind it, that's very tiny, tiny, tiny printed, even when you expand it. And I, apologize, it's not that clear. So if you need a cleaner copy of that, I certainly could provide that to you. But, so deductibles were adjusted, out-of-pockets were adjusted, co-pays for office visits were adjusted upwards, and increases in retail prescription drugs and co-payments were increased. And the reason why I do want to alert you to that is now that all union contracts have been negotiated, and we really do have we have squeezed those with either CPI increases or CPI and a little bit above that. To continually push this is going to be somewhat difficult. Just as a reminder again, we have employees ranging in assistant mode at $20,000 a year salary, and then we grow from there. And these premiums and these out-of-pockets apply to everyone. So, of course, they feel the biggest impact when we keep pushing this up. So it is a challenge, and I'm not saying that nothing would be adjusted, but I do want to let you know that because these have already been made the prior year, we will see what Thursday night, what they reveal to us, what those premiums will look like again. We just don't know the range of the deductibles and how much more room is.
So last year, some of these changes were not our choosing. They were forced on us by Blue Cross. So do we know yet what Blue Cross is going to do in terms of it? It seems like there were a lot of prescription issues with prescriptions, and you could, generic drugs and not generic drugs, and if you were taking this one, it would be this cost, and there were all these different tiers built in. Have they revealed any of that yet, or no?
They are going to bring us a menu of items to take a look at. They did present us with some information, but they took all the detailed information back, so I don't have that to refer back to as far as what that looks like. But that is a plan for Thursday evening to walk through all of that.
Could you also talk a little bit about the timeline and when enrollment starts so that maybe our new board members are aware of?
Yes, exactly. So that is one thing that has been challenging for us, and it's the timing of when the committee meets to then determine if or when any modifications could be made to mitigate those increases, and then make certain that all the folks could go back to employees and inform those folks of those potential changes, and then come back to the board to allow you an informational meeting to say, here's what we've looked at, here are some suggestions, and making some of those changes would result in premiums as such, and that's what we don't know as of yet. So all that information then is presented to you, and then you have to tell us to go back or not. Either you're going to accept what those premium increases will be, right? Or you're going to say get into a range of this or that. It goes back to the insurance committee, and then the second meeting, which would be in November, it would come to you as an action item, because by mid-November, we need open enrollment to occur, because this plan goes into effect January 1st. So, and we all know December is a hectic month, and because of winter break, you only have a couple weeks in there. So the timeline is as such. Next meeting, you'll be presented with the information. By the first November meeting, we need you to make a decision so that open enrollment can start thereafter. Okay.
Andrea, have you talked to Blue Cross or Blue Advantage or any of these potential providers regarding Obamacare and whether or not that will have an impact on us? A lot of these guys are bailing from Obamacare across many different states.
We actually, these are new brokers that we have with us, but I will tell you previously, they walked, Mesro, when we had Mesro, they walked through the whole plan of what has been modified. So we're seeing the full implementation of that. I believe the last piece that was left was that Cadillac tax, which they've now pushed out to 2020. It was supposed to be, I think, in 2016 and 17, and now it's not until 2020. So everything has been implemented as far as plan enhancements that basically you are forced into doing. So we are seeing the results of that. And then, of course, the claims history for our district was presented to us. And they felt that that is the reason why we would see the larger 10.5% increase.
Well, that kind of parallels what I've been reading about the bigger picture view with these different private companies bailing on Obamacare because of their claims. They've been astronomical, and they're just breaking it down.
The hard part for us, I will say, is when the insurance brokers have gone out to bid for us, is because of our location, we are somewhat limited to what insurance carrier we can use. Because we're not the northwest suburbs that you could just access a myriad of hospitals. They did not bring forward to us last time, but again, with the previous broker, had brought us the top hospitals, which I believe, of course, was Kish, Delnor, and I believe Rockford, and I don't know if anybody else remembers one of the most frequent hospitals that were used.
I don't remember it.
Okay, I know those three were somewhere on the list, but with those limitations, Blue Cross really seemed like the majority of the time that was the only fit for us.
What's the cycle time? I mean, how long does the contract last?
The insurance is up, that goes into effect in January.
It's an annual contract?
It is.
Okay.
with a carrier.
I'm just trying to think about, you said possibly a 10.5% increase on an annual basis. How much uncertainty do we have? How much risk do we have because of the uncertainty if it's only a one-year contract and there's all these political things going on nationwide as well as in Illinois? So that's a disadvantage of some sort, right? I mean, that you have only a short one-year contract in a volatile situation overall. But I don't think much we can do about it. But this is a one-year contract.
Right.
All right, thank you, Amy.
Thanks.
Next, we have new business administration, additional 1.0 FTE for DHS target program. And this is an action item. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Rick Smith,
Yes.
Howard Zolling,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Karen in favor,
Yes.
Mary Hess,
Yes.
Gary Millet,
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes. Next, we have non-business consent agenda. That the Board of Education approve the non-business consent agenda items A through E. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? All right.
Howard Zolling,
Yes.
Fred Davis,
Yes.
Victoria in favor,
Yes.
Mary Hess,
Yes.
Gary Millet,
Yes.
Victoria Newport.
Yes.
Rick Smith.
Yes.
Okay. And with that, you've actually hired a new Chief Technology Officer. And Jenny, if you'd like to.
Well, I would just like to congratulate and welcome Ben into his new role.
And with that, the meeting will be adjourned. All in favor?
Aye.
How long?